Trump administration is offering a one-way ticket out of the U.S. for illegal migrants. Self-deport for dollars.
Migrants will get a $1,000 flight, or they'll get $1,000 and a flight home if they choose this option.
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem said in a statement on Monday, "If you're here illegally, self-deportation is the best, safest, and most cost-effective way to leave the United States to avoid arrest." The logic behind this move is that, according to DHS numbers, it does cost around $17,000 to detain and deport an undocumented immigrant. Meanwhile, the self-deportation project would only cost $4,500, according to Fox News' Bill Malugin. DHS told Fox News that those who self-deport would be eligible to return in the future if they do it legally.
DHS says they've already paid one illegal migrant to fly back to Honduras from Chicago. Senior fellow at the American Immigration Council, Aaron Reinel-Melchick, sounded the alarm on Blue Sky, writing, quote, "In a wildly deceptive claim, they say this will allow people to come back illegally. For many people, this is a lie. Leaving will make their cases much worse."
Meanwhile, podcaster Tim Pool wrote on X, "Well, this could cause a perverse incentive. LOL, hopefully it works, though." What are your thoughts?
So I just want to get this straight. The same party that said every single dollar spent on a migrant is a dollar too much wants to cut a $1,000 check with Trump's signature on it, like those COVID checks, and pass them out to these same migrants. That's what we're saying, correct?
Yeah, but it saves money because it's more cost effective than having some police interaction and detaining them. So I'm glad it's saving money. I don't have that problem with it. My issue is I think it's probably unrealistic to expect a lot of self-deportation, and especially as we're trying to prioritize deportations, we want to deport, or there's a maximum public consensus on deporting people engaged in gang activity or other crimes. I think those are going to be the least likely people to opt to do this, because they're not going to be like, "Oh yeah, I'm an illegal immigrant. Here's my check. I'll go now." Like, they're not going to do that. They don't want to be on the radar, right? Because they're involved in other criminal activity. So we're going to get like the most polite, compliant of the illegal immigrant class are going to agree to do this. What is that accomplishing?
So, I live in Denver, Colorado, which is a quote-unquote sanctuary city. And under our mayor, who I've talked to, and several migrants that I've sat with in interviews, what I understand is that people are fleeing extreme terror situations. They're fleeing livelihoods that they can't sustain. They're fleeing extreme dire situations where they want to protect their families. And so when they come here, it's life or death for them. I mean, they're crossing treacherous miles and miles of water, risking their lives on the journey just to get here. And although there are proper channels to come here legally, I think it's important to understand that no one's going to go back, for the most part, to that same dire situation, like, for example, in Venezuela, for $1,000, even the most good Samaritan of the bunch, because his heart is with his family and he wants to protect and save them, which is why they all came here in the first place.
Right. A Venezuelan dissident who came here because Venezuela's authoritarian socialist government, shut down their small business and, jailed their family members, is not going to take a self-deportation flight back to Venezuela. I think a better idea in this same family of ideas would be to just have them pay, and my friend Daniel DiMartino, who's a immigration expert that we've had on Rising a couple times, has a plan along these lines. I believe, I can't remember what his exact dollar figure is, but basically have illegal immigrants pay for citizenship. Instead of receiving money, have them pay the government a hefty fine in order to have a path to citizenship. That would be a lot more realistic
for rich people at $5 million a pop.
Which I'm totally in support of. I want to drain the rest of the world of their rich people. Everyone who's a computer genius, like a tech genius, or who is wealthy, who is good looking, should be brought to America, and the rest of the world can have the backward, uneducated, authoritarian people all in China or whatever. That's my foreign policy.
I also want to make sure we touch base on the claims that Trump's team is making, that this is going to save us, from $17,000+ to $4,500 per migrant.
Well,
accepts this offer.
I'm happy about the savings.
Well, I just don't accept that, right? So the theatrics that were put on to do these large-scale migration efforts, illegal migration capture efforts, right, cost way more money than that. We're talking about chartering flights. They cost at least $8,500 an hour on a low end. And then if you have somebody high risk, remember he's going after all the criminals, those are about 25 grand, I believe, a pop, or 27,000 an hour. And so we're talking about pennies that he say he's saving and all this stuff. No, he spent so much, and he only captured 140,000 migrants to date. A far cry from the millions.
Like a lot, though.
A far cry from the millions he promised on the campaign trail. So also, this seems like a little bit of scrambling and coming up with anything, throwing pasta at the wall to meet this quota of even 1 million migrants that he said he was going to have sent back home. Because 140,000 is not close to a million.
Well, if you remove the 140,000 most dangerous or gang-affiliated migrants from the streets, then that would be a massive win for public safety.
But those people were not, though. Those people were not 140,000. We have no proof of those being 140,000 people that were criminals.
My point is, my point is that it matters who you target, and your policies should be designed, in my view, to target the illegal immigrant population that is part of the criminal element or contributes to public disorder, and that's a sizable but minority percentage of the people, and so we want a policy that is tailored to get them. I don't think this policy is tailored to get them at all. In fact, I think it's tailored to miss them wildly. It almost reminds me of gun buyback policies, which I don't think work very well either, because again, you have the responsible people who's like, oh yeah, I don't need my weapon, and you have criminals still holding on to them. So then we just end up taking away weapons from people who will use them responsibly and who might rationally want them for self-defense, and it just doesn't work.
And not a great idea. Also, you know that if people leave that came here illegally from Honduras and go back and try to come back legally, they're going to have multiple challenges. Don't sell this dream. Like, at least just tell them, hey, we're paying you to get out of here permanently.
Well, there is probably that issue too. Maybe that's what Tim Pool is alluding to. You get on the flight, you take your check, you go back to Honduras, sneak back into the country, you get your check again, you go back again. I'm not saying it's that easy to get in, or that necessarily people would do that, but people have channels to get into the country. This is all a long way of saying we need a rational immigration policy that includes border security so that we don't have our borders overwhelmed by refugees and migrants and that kind of thing, but that allows for people to come here and we can vet them and make sure they don't have criminal associations or gang associations. If they have those, they go right back. We don't want any of that. But are safe for communities and are going to be hard workers and contribute to the health of the country and get jobs and be net contributors to the welfare state, not taking out of it, and have immigration reform that facilitates that happening. That's what I would support. I think that's what Trump supports. I think that's what most of the American people support. But it requires Congress to do something, so we'll never have it ever.
And also the chance of people getting that $1,000 check when they get in another country is probably slim to none. So go.
Got to get it in different denomination.
Yeah.
Coming up, Escape from Alcatraz will be more than a Hollywood movie if Trump gets his way. Will the island prison be reopening? Find out next.